This is music theory. So first lesson of music theory. So 5 lines, 4 spaces. That's the foundation of music theory. Kind of obvious for anyone who has learned music before. But for anyone who hasn't learned music before, this is kind of weird to think. That's 5 lines and 4 spaces, and that defines everything you've ever listened to. Every line corresponds to a key on the piano. So let's just say, like, this right here is F. It would be F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Wait, I don't remember how I started. That's terrible. All right, let's just say that's A. Let's just say that's A, even though that's not possible. Each thing is a whole step. So it'll be A to B. That would be a whole step. Now B, it'll be B to C. Then C to D, D to E, E to F, F to G, and then G circles round back to A again. Simple enough. That is your basic ideas of the staff. Each space and line is a whole step. It goes from A to B to C to D to E to F to G to A. So, when you start learning about what the spaces and lines actually mean, your first clef that you will learn about most likely is treble. I'm going to put that here. I'm going to put it in perspective. So, when you draw a treble clef on the staff, it is known as the G clef. This note in here is G. All right? So here, anywhere on this line would be a G. You go over to the space. It will be an A. So that would be your whole step up. So, the easiest way to remember the lines and spaces, the lines is every good boy deserves fries, right? And the spaces, it spells out face. Applying this, the lines would be E, G, B, D, and F. The spaces would be F, A, C, and E. Now, if you see the pattern, it goes E, F, G, loops back to A, and then it's A, B, C, D, E, F. Then it would be G again. So we've learned treble clef. You make it. It's like a J. You swing it back down. You put a little loop-de-loop at the top. You cross over, kind of bend it a little bit. And you make it like a belly. And you engulf the G because it's the G clef. So now we've learned the spaces, our face, and the lines are E, G, B, D, F. We're going to move on to our next clef. We're going to move on to the bass clef, which kind of looks like a C. It's like a backwards C. It's more like It's more or less like this. It starts here, comes up, loops out within itself, and then does that. And then you put the 2 dots on this line. Now, why that line out of all lines? It is called the F clef. That line right here is the note F. So, the spaces would be, so let's say, what comes after F? It's G. So one of the spaces are G. Let's go backwards. So what's before F? It'd be E. So the space below that is E. Now what would the space before E be? It would be C. Now before C, what would that one be? What would that final space be? It would be A. So, the lines. We know that the bottom one is A. We know the spaces. We know the bottom space is A. So the second line would have to be B. But what comes before A? It would be G. So the first line is G. The second line is B. And what comes after C? That would be D. After E is the F for F clef, or the bass clef. And then after G would be A again. There are 2 ways you can remember these clefs. The treble clef, the G clef, it will be the G clef. For the spaces, it just spells face. For lines, it's every good boy deserves fries. So it's every good boy deserves fries. Remember that. The spaces. A, the spaces is simple. Apes can eat grapes. Apes can eat grapes. A-C-E-G. Simple enough, right? And the lines would be grizzly bears don't fly airplanes. Grizzly bears don't fly airplanes. Simple enough. So with your treble clef, you have the spaces being face. Then you have your lines, which is E, G, B, D, F. Every good boy does fine. Then with your bass clef, your F clef, you have the spaces as apes can eat grapes. And then your lines as grizzly bears don't fly airplanes. Let's move to ledger lines. So, ledger lines are a piece of the clef that are put either above or below. So, if the staves are like the alphabet, where it just resets after G and goes back to A, it will be every good boy does fine. What comes after F? It will be G. So the space above the staff is G. Alright? It's kind of confusing. It's weird. But after that, the line, what would the line be? It would be A. Another word that you could add to the lines is every good boy deserves fries. And then your last ledger line, which is hopefully the highest you will go up to, which the space would be a B. And then C, cheese. Every good boy deserves fries and cheese. because the ledger lines are A and C. Now, if you come down to the bass clef, you're going to find yourself doing something different because it's not the same for each. This one ends on A, so your space would be B, your line being C, your space being D. Oh, that's a B. D. And then your last line being E. So just to recap, the spaces, face, lines with the ledger lines is E, G, B, D, F, A, C. Every good boy deserves fries and cheese. Right? And for bass clef, it would be apes can eat grapes, and then grizzly bears don't fly airplanes, and then the ledger lines would be C and E. So, moving on from ledger lines. So that's 5. It's 5 lines. You put your treble clef. But then you put another 5 below it. Leave enough space in the middle for notes. And you would add the bass clef. This is called a grand staff. Now, mostly only piano players see this. It still follows your every good boy does fine, or every good boy deserves fries and cheese, the ledger's lines as well, face. It still involves all that. Grizzly bears don't fly airplanes. This middle right here. This note is called middle C. It is smack in between the treble clef and the bass clef. Because if you go down two whole steps, you get C. But if you go up 2 whole steps from the bass clef, you get C as well. This is why it is called middle C.